Hi, and welcome to Josh Langley Gets to Know Season 3. Now, Season 3 is going to be different because I'm going to talk to a lot of professionals about certain topics. Now, these are the topics that are relevant for parents, relevant for educators, and relevant for mental health experts and allied health professionals. And you're all going to be able to take away some really valuable information from each episode. Now, this episode, before I introduce who we're going to talk to, there's something that we spoke about in the beginning that really, really broke my heart. And it gets to the core of why I created my Inspiring Kids program. And one of the big parts of the Inspiring Kids program is self-acceptance, getting kids to accept themselves for who they are and to know that they're amazing, they are wonderful, and they are worth believing in. And to give these kids, whether they're neurodiverse, whether they're got learning differences, whether they've got disabilities, we don't abandon these kids. These kids have amazing skills and abilities that the world could benefit from. And so with the Inspiring Kids program, that's what I wanted to make sure that these kids get those messages. You can find out more here. Meanwhile, let's get on with it. Should we just get going? So, are you ready? Are you ready, Gary? Okay, are you ready? Okay, you ready?
I thought it was on the phone, so Josh really kindly gave me some extra time to wash my hair.
Are you ready?
Yeah, ready as I'll ever be.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Well, today's guest and today's subject is something really, really important for all mental health practitioners. So if you run a mental health practice, allied health professional, running speech pathologist or whatever, you are going to want to watch this because I'm going to be speaking to Kristen Nazaro. Now, Kristen started out as a psychologist. She studied psychology. She worked in schools working with special needs kids, and then she moved completely out, and now she designs websites for mental health professionals and for allied health professionals. Now, she's based in New Jersey, so this is really exciting because they've got to go all the way to New Jersey via Zoom, and had a chat to Kristen. And the things she talks about websites and about social media is absolutely fascinating. You are going to be able to take away some vital information that you can then apply to your own online presence. So, cup of coffee, glass of wine, take the dog for a walk, whatever. Let's sit back. Let's get to know Kristen Nazaro and how to build your online presence if you're a mental health practitioner.
What are we gonna do with all this time?
Kristen Nazaro, thank you so much for joining on my show. How are you going?
I am doing amazing on this very late night. I know that the time difference sometimes gets a bit wonky for us, but I am doing great. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. Now, obviously, you're in New Jersey. I'm in WA.
Yes.
This is the first time I've spoken to someone outside of Australia, and especially in the US.
I feel so honored.
Yeah, this is great. But getting that time difference thing organized is like,
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I know.
There
Now,
was a lot of issues to get here, but we got here.
We did. Now, obviously, I've got the opportunity to ask you, how is the situation with COVID over there?
Here and there, personally, I am not out that much with what I do. So, and I also like kind of steer clear of the news. I'm like, I don't don't want any part in that. So I kind of turn a blind eye to it sometimes, but
Yeah.
it's with the new variant, it has been more here than there. We're getting through though.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. I mean, from what I see from my vantage point over here in Western Australia is that America is just like, okay, it's there. It's just living with it, just trying to navigate and trying to survive.
Exactly.
And trying to watch
Yeah.
all the schools navigate it as well, especially with
Oh
schools
gosh,
going
yeah.
back, and that's been an absolute dog's breakfast, to use an Australian
Yeah.
term. It's just been an absolute mess, and it's happening here at the moment because in Western Australia, schools just gone back, and
Oh
we've managed to
yeah.
keep COVID out of WA for a long time. However, Omicron has now started to make its presence felt, and it's all this.
Right.
Anyway, we could talk about this for
Yeah.
hours, but
Let's not.
no, let's not. Let's get into more interesting topics.
Yes.
Now, you
Sure.
studied psychology. You worked in schools as a school psychologist.
Well, I was on my way towards doing that. I worked in school. When I worked in schools, I was mostly working as kind of like a paraprofessional. I'm not sure what you guys call them in Australia, but pretty much working in special needs classrooms, helping with a lot of the like implementing of very individualized programs for kids with autism. So that's what I was doing while in pursuit of a school psychology degree. So eventually going into that world.
Oh, that's great, because I interact with a lot of teachers and special ed teachers and stuff, and people in the autism community and all that. And my new program, Inspiring Kids, is being taken up by a lot of special ed classes in many different schools. So, what were you finding with the, overall, was there an overall feeling of mental health issues regarding kids? Let's look at pre-COVID.
Right.
Was there a certain trend that you saw that was standing out?
Trying to think, because I have been out for quite a bit. We can talk about that a little bit later, but in terms of mental health issues overall, a lot of the kids that I worked with, I don't want to say dealt with, I worked with were ones that had more behavioral challenges to begin with. But before that, before COVID and before working in that environment, I also worked in a special needs high school, which was more of a behavioral school. And there I saw a lot of mental health challenges. And I feel like a lot of them were because these kids felt so given up on because they were in a behavioral school. So they felt like everyone had given up on them, that they didn't have anyone in their corner, that they were always going to fail. So a lot of these issues of anxieties, depression, suicidal ideation all came up quite frequently. I always tried to be the person in that environment, to kind of be that person that I didn't feel like they had while in that school.
Wow, that's really interesting you said that, because it's like, for me, it's one of the most important things is for all kids, but especially for kids in that situation, to actually feel like they've been heard, feel like they've been recognized, develop that self-esteem, that self-acceptance, and to have that outside support to say, yes, you can do this. You are important. You're amazing people. Let's encourage you to find your best selves and stuff like that.
Right.
So, and I think that's a look, I think right around the world, there's a certain lack of that. They, as you said, they got behavioral issues, too hard to handle, that sort of thing. Let's put them over here.
Yeah, definitely. And even the teachers that work in that setting, nothing against them overall, because this is very specific to the school that I worked in, but I just felt like a lot of them didn't like, they didn't believe, like I said, in the students either, and they would just give them like desk work to do. And just when they talked about them when they weren't there, it was like they didn't have any faith that they were able to achieve anything. And it was it was a very bad mindset to be in and see. So it's no wonder why I didn't stay in that school for so long. Like, you can only do so much help for children before if that environment is having such a mental toll on you as well.
Yeah, I've spoken to a lot of people, and they talk about the burnout, the whole structural system is, and I wouldn't say flawed, but it's not the best. And the teachers get burnout, they get jaded, and they go, my own mental sanity, I need to get out.
Definitely.
Is that what was happening with you?
Yeah, and I feel like that's probably a lot of the reasons why teachers acted the way they did towards kids, because they had been in those settings for so long, and just they'd seen so much and didn't have the support that they needed. So it's kind of like this ripple effect and a cycle that no one's supporting each other, and the kids end up suffering as well. And then the good staff that actually cares ends up leaving because they're not supported.
Wow, that really breaks my heart, because there's so many opportunities to intervene and to help everyone, but it's such a systemic sort of failure, really, on the way the whole system is set up, and it's just everyone ends up failing in the end. And then, as you said, people like yourself, the good people, leave. So what are you doing? So you left, and you wanted to get into the digital space. You started Mind Thrive Digital. Now, what switched
Yeah.
this?
I know, it's quite a switch, right?
Well,
So
there's a
pretty-
link. I know there's a link. So talk to
there
me.
is a link that we talked about a little bit. But yeah, so I was working in just jumping ahead a little bit to when I worked in the ABA setting and was getting my pursuit of school psychology. That was also when COVID was happening as well. So that happened kind of right in the middle while I was going to school and while I was working in a school. But then suddenly all that was taken away, couldn't do any of that. So I took a lot of time to really learn and develop on my own, like kind of look. I never taken the chance to learn outside of school and just learn for the sake of learning. So I did a lot of personal development, read a lot on like mindfulness, meditation, all these like really great personal development techniques. But then I also got into somehow, I forget how, I got into entrepreneurship and started just going down that rabbit hole. And then eventually through a series of rabbit holes, I found digital marketing. And I really liked I think what drove me to it was just I always liked trying to understand the mind, right? That's why I went into the psychology field. So just learning how digital is able to impact like consumer behavior and how you're able to influence someone to get something that would really impact them. So it doesn't necessarily just have to be products. It could be something that they really need, just connecting people to the service that they really need through digital marketing. So I got into websites to help therapists kind of do that. So now what I've been doing is helping therapists and those in the mental health field trying to elevate their impact, really get in front of those that they can help the most through digital marketing, through unique websites that really show their unique impact. Because we all know one therapist is not going to be everyone's cup of tea. So it's really important to really differentiate yourself and really show how unique you are.
I was going to say, because do you think mental health professionals, and a lot of them, we call them allied health professionals over here in Australia, it could be speech pathologists or whatever. Do you think they don't realize how important that web presence is, and it's more of an afterthought?
Yeah, I definitely seen that through the past year and a half that I've been doing this. A lot of people in the mental health field still have this idea that word of mouth and is just going to be enough, and people are just going to come to you and your practice is going to be filled right after you start. But we're in it, especially nowadays, we're in a digital age and people are searching for that on Google, and through people are also like, I remember one therapist in particular telling me that the people that were finding her and people that were booking consultations had already known so much about her through her social media and through her website and stuff like that. So people want to do their research first nowadays. They don't want to just book with someone and just hope for the best.
Because I was going to ask you, what is the passage of play? I mean, like obviously there's so many different scenarios. There could be someone realizing I need to see a psychologist. I've got my own mental health issues. Or I've just been diagnosed with anxiety. I need to go see a therapist. Or it could be a parent wanting to see a therapist for their child has got an autism diagnosis and they want to go start that process. Is there a passage of play that's a universal one? Does it start with a Google and a particular search, or what's it look like?
First, I just want to say I love how you say the Google. And second, there's definitely nothing universal about digital marketing, and that's something I realized very early on. People have there's so many different starting points depending on who you are, what you are doing as a person who needs that support or needs that help, like what you're already doing online, what you're interacting with. Whether you find information through Google or you go through friends or Facebook groups, or there's so many ways. And like psychologist directories are a big one here. I'm not sure if they are as big over there, but there's just so many ways that people can find you. It's really important to find what works best, not only for you, but also where your audience is looking for you the most, looking for a therapist the most.
So how important is social media then in that regard?
I would say it's definitely gaining importance. Like I'm mostly on LinkedIn. That's how we connected. And I've just seen like such an increase in the amount of therapists and those in the mental health field, not just I guess clinical psychologists or therapists, but also like coaches and like parent coaches, family coaches, like anyone that's trying to help within the mental health field, just sharing that information so people can not only feel educated about their mental health, but it also helps break the stigma too. Because when people are constantly sharing that information, then it's being more normalized. It's not something that's kind of like hidden in this box. So I feel like it's just talking about it is really where digital marketing is taking us.
I totally agree that the more we normalize it and have that open conversation, I see a lot of well, there's a couple of parenting experts that I see on my Facebook feed, and they do a lot of great stuff, and they are using not a Facebook page but their own personal pages to work their platform and do live seminars and stuff like that, and I see that works. And so getting back to a website though, how do you then look, what's your process? So when a client comes to you, they've got a counseling service or something like that, how do you then unpick what's important for them to have on their website?
Right. So what we usually do at Mind Thrive is we have like a discovery call kind of after the client signs on, where we have like an hour to really dive deep into what their not only what their vision is, but who they are as a person, or who their practice is, what their practice really stands for, and just working with that, looking at inspirations, looking at kind of what the competition's doing too, just like getting all of these pieces, seeing how they fit together. And also like personally love collaborating with other people, because one mind can only do so much. There's so much more you can do when you get like opinions of others and like see like, oh, maybe this would work better, or, oh yeah, that's a good idea. So there's so much power in joint communication, and also just listening to your client and what they need.
So if there was one thing that a person running a mental health practice or something could do with their website, there's one thing that would connect with their customers or their clients more, what would that one thing, if it was only just one thing in the world, what would it be?
I would say like cut the psycho jargon. I'm not sure if that's a term in Australia. Where psychobabble. Like where's a lot of mental health. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, because you're right, because a lot of that jargon, that technical jargon, using that language, and it can alienate people, can't it? It can go, well, I can't, where's this sure, I think it comes from a point of view of, I can relate to it, because sometimes you want to put on your website for people to go, oh, they know what they're talking about. They're using big words, and I can trust them.
And they're confusing me.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, coming from the practitioner's perspective, I've got to show that they can trust me because I know what I'm talking about. However, it should be assumed that because you've got that presence and you've got maybe a couple of letters after your name, and that you know what you're talking about. But it's that simple language that connects with people, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, there's one thing that I learned early on in marketing. I think the book I read for this was The Story Brand by Donald Miller. And he said, if you confuse, you lose. And that's something that's really stuck with me, not just because it rhymes and it's catchy, but it's definitely true. Like, people don't want to be confused. They want to know what they're getting, and they want to know what the person's offering. So,
how many steps does it take? Like, when someone jumps on the website, because you don't need to have, I'm guessing you don't need to have 15,000 pages. It's just a few simple steps, isn't it?
I mean, it really depends. this people can take so many different pathways. Some people, they may just want to see something legitimate, and they may just click contact now right away. They may want to learn a little bit more about you, so they may want to see kind of where you come from and what your values are. So there could be that. They may want to see kind of how your service is laid out, and also I'm not sure how big insurance is in the Australia when it comes to therapy, but that's definitely something that a lot of people take into consideration here when they're making a decision about mental health and who they are going to seek out, whether or not they take their insurance. So that's
So
something people are going to
that's
seek
how
out
it
for.
works there. Because
Yeah.
most people, like to say, if you're going to go see a therapist, you get subsidized. The government pays for half the session fees.
Oh.
And you claim it
So
back.
yeah.
Because we've got universal healthcare here in Australia.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank
We're
you.
not so lucky.
No. Well, our current
Yeah.
government is looking at every single way possible to get rid of it, but we've got it at the moment. So
let's not think about that.
yeah, not think about it. Okay. So reduce the jargon, talk everyday language, keep
Yes.
the thing simple. But what you do is you find a way to actually individualize and personalize that practitioner's website, so it's talking. So when someone lands on it, it feels like they're talking to them. It's their values. It's everything about
Yeah.
them.
You always want to feel like when we're writing copy, it's really about trying to make not talking to everyone, but trying to talk to like one unique person. Like what I love to do when I usually have someone on my team usually helps with the copy part, but what we usually do is I just envision talking to one person who I envision their dream client to be, and just what language I would use. So that's kind of really helps you take it from, oh my gosh, I'm trying to talk to all of these people that may land on my website, to just talking to that one perfect client for you.
Yeah, and when they're reading that, when that one perfect client reads that, it does feel like you're talking directly to them, because I've spent 25 years writing radio commercials, and the whole idea about radio is you talk to one person, even though you may be talking to millions.
So you know what I'm talking about.
You know exactly what you're talking about. And of course, what happens is that sometimes you forget that when you're writing that copy, and you want to be all things for everyone, but you're not. You bring it back down to that one person. Yeah.
That's something that I see a lot in therapy as well, with therapists. What help I can identify with this, trying to be a helper, wanting to help everyone. So it's very hard sometimes to really narrow that focus, because you want to be everything for everyone. But when it comes to marketing as a private practice, that ends up being nothing for no one, because no one knows how you're going to help specifically them.
It's a hard word to say. I kind of specifically. Yeah,
yes, it's late here. Don't judge me.
Exactly. In radio, we call that the scattergun approach. Just throw everything out there and just hope something sticks, as opposed to one single pointed idea spoken directly to that one person, connects with that one person, and they're more likely to go, wow, I feel comfortable with this. I'm going to go use your services. That sort of thing.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Quick fire round, Kristen.
Oh gosh.
Here we go.
Sure.
Here we go. This is a new thing I'm doing for this new series.
Oh gosh. Go easy on me.
What is your favorite self-care thing to do?
There's two, but probably meditation has been my number one. But I didn't want to say the one that I feel like most people would say, but that's definitely something that's helped me just focus, and just doing it early in the morning to really starts my day on a positive note. Yeah, no,
don't be ashamed to say that. The more people that we get actually openly admitting, going, actually, meditation really does help me focus, is a good thing. It's a good thing. Okay, best piece of advice someone's given you.
Oh gosh, there's so many good pieces of advice. I would say just I'm not sure if this is the best, but one that comes to mind right away is just not being afraid to show who you are, because it's something that people are going to connect with. And also in an entrepreneurial realm, don't be afraid to take action, because even if it's the wrong action and you mess up, you're still learning something.
I like that. The long action.
Yes.
I love that, because you can still stuff up with a long action, but because it's longer, it's just there's a longer I love that. I love that. Okay, last one. What lights you up?
For me, I love doing adventurous things. So I haven't been able to do much of them recently, but I'm not sure if we've had this conversation too, but when I took a trip to Australia in 2016, I went skydiving. And so doing things like your face. So doing things like that really lights me up, and just I like challenging myself in ways that I didn't see possible.
It's a perfectly good plane. Why would you want to jump out of it? I don't understand. I like that though, because it's sort of I see that trend, that little thing in you, because obviously you're not afraid to make a jump and to learn and to do things. Jump, no pun intended, out of a plane, but whether you're changing careers or whatever, there's something about you. You're not afraid to make that leap.
The metaphorical jump.
Yeah, exactly.
I've made a lot of those in my life.
Now, Kristen, how can people get in contact with you if they want to find out more about what you do?
Yeah. So I am most active on LinkedIn and Instagram. It's my name, Kristen Nazaro. And then the website for MindThrive is mindthrivedigital.com.
Okay, I'll put the website down here, and I'll put the links in the show notes as well. And have you got links to your Instagram and whatever from your website?
Yes, I do.
Okay, brilliant. Look, thank you very much, Kristen. Thank you for sharing your insights. And I'm sure a lot of allied health professionals and mental health practitioners will get a lot out of what you've just shared with us. So thank you so much. Yeah. Enjoy your evening over there.
Thanks. Enjoy your day.